A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So it has been exactly 1 week since the Sixers season ended, as it always does, underwhelmingly during the second round. And your boy has gone through his 7 stages of depression and am finally ready to talk about what transpired against the Boston Celtics in totality, or at least the whole season as a whole. Enough time has passed and I don't really give a damn anymore. Well, kinda. In this video, I'm going to present my thoughts on all of the Sixers news currently at hand. I'm going to lament on the wasted season and answer the question, where do the Sixers inevitably go from here? As you can tell, this is going to be a rant version of my content, that type of style that I do without any music. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my passive-aggressive Philadelphia fan rage. Okay. By this point, we all know the actual deal. What had happened was the Sixers lost to the Boston Celtics in 7 games to end their season in an absolutely pathetic fashion, getting blown out at the Boston Garden or TD Garden, I'm not sure, seemingly giving up 1/4 of the way through the third quarter. And it was obvious that we were going to lose the actual series after Game 6 at home, because no way in hell were we going to win on the road. I think we had beat Boston twice already in that series. There was never going to be a way that we were going to win 3 in a row, especially after choking a lead at home Game 6, where everything was going in our favor, going our way. Like, it was blatantly obvious. Everything was written. The script was written for us to win at home, and that was the only way that we were legit get to our first Eastern Conference Finals since 2001. And I dumbly drank the Kool-Aid. I honestly really thought, and once again, this is prior to Game 6. I think it was Game 5 or Game 4. I think it was Game 5, because no, it was Game 4. It was definitely Game 4, because that was at our place when we were down by 5 points with 90 seconds to go, and somehow we still won that game. I thought that was our championship moment, that we, mustered up some underlying faith, underlying dog in us to actually win that game, because no one beats that game, especially against Boston. But of course, we would not do it. Like this in Game 6, the squad blew it, bro. Like, there is no way we were coming back once again from that. You could feel it down at the stadium as well. Game 6. And real quick, my fault for not releasing the Game 6 post-game fan interview footage. I just didn't really have it in me, knowing that we damn well weren't going to win the series. We've seen this thing before. Like, we've seen the Sixers lose on some nut-ish time and time again. But anyway, back to Game 7. Just a piss-poor excuse, all around, by the franchise, who gave a middle finger to every single fan in the tri-state area and internationally, letting you know that they don't care about you or us. And there ain't no bigger culprit of this than the freaking most valuable player in the league, Joel Embiid. I'm getting this out of the way now, ahorita. Number 21 is a bum and a fraud who is no longer my favorite player in the league anymore. His performance Game 7 was inexcusable on a variety of levels, especially the sulking and piss poor body language mid-game, mind you. Of course, the flow of the game was going Boston's way towards, halftime, with George Dummy Niang holding JB's leg, and even, coming out of the break. It just, it was clear. But once again, how you go out matters. And it's clear that this team, specifically Joel Embiid, just didn't care. And just overall with his quitter aura, which undoubtedly rubbed off on the rest of the team, because, he's the freaking leader, or at least I thought he was. But beyond all of that, the amount of jovialness Embiid showed on the court after getting fried by Boston, the team that always spanks his butt as if they were, our stepdads. Embiid talking to Celtics players, smiling, giving them encouragement, and laughing at the post game presser is just unjustifiable, bro. Is this y'all man's? Honestly, is this y'all MVP? And it's crazy because I've been killed by sections of the Philly fandom for years calling out Embiid for his baby attitude, me holding him accountable. Hell, I even made a video about this year, and I was inevitably, time and time again, called a hater. So do y'all see now? Homie has been coddled like a baby for years in this city, and this is the result. This is the reason why I have never changed my banner from day one. You see this joint? Clown boy. Like, I'm so disappointed, man. I was going to say that I'm used to this, but I'm actually not, because at least in years past, like when we lost, there was at least hope that Joel Embiid was going to be that bull. To like, you know, be that killer, obviously in basketball terms, to put us over the top. And he didn't. Like, it's clear. Like, there. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Joel Embiid got his MVP and faded to the background. Like, selfish as hell, man. Like, honestly, pathetic. Which is even crazier when you think about it, because people won't even recognize his MVP accomplishment now after he went out the season the way he did. Especially if that boy in Denver wins a Finals MVP. Like, Joel is a straight clown, yo, and played himself to the umph degree. No one is going to recognize his MVP. Like, that is amazing to me. He is about to get reamed all off season, and guess what? Bull deserves it. Now, with all that being said, I saw a lot of folks say that, you know, they would just blow it up in this trade Embiid. No, that's obviously not the answer. Of course, we are being emotionally irrational when it comes to this, but we cannot trade the MVP and think that we are going to win a championship no time soon. Now, the other side of this could be, well, we're not going to win anyway, and maybe fine, maybe it's an L regardless, but I feel as though for everything that like we have done and, like, you know, been through as fans, no, we have to ride this joint out, because once again, this is still an MVP type talent, even though he doesn't have the actual mental, clearly. But trading Embiid right now in his prime would be asinine. Even though I'm thoroughly pissed off at Mans, bro. Like, that, I am not wearing his jersey no time next season. And I'm not going to forgive him until he wins me a championship. I don't want to get past second round now. It's a championship or nothing, or I will always be upset at Joel Embiid, because there is no way you went out like that. That is ridiculous, bro. And shame on all you Sixer fans who has been coddling this man since day one. I stopped coddling him in the bubble when we lost to, the Celtics again. Oh, that is crazy. Okay, so fast forward a few days after that, Game 7. Game 7's debacle. News broke that Glenn Rivers had been fired as the Sixers head coach after 3 seasons. And while this series, loss wasn't on him, in my opinion. In fact, I can say without a doubt that this might have been his best, coaching year in Philadelphia. It is or at the very least in the playoffs. His firing was inevitable when you really look at it. He couldn't stay because, one, his history of choking playoff leagues is just, gross. And 2, the players just needed a new voice, because it's just too much baggage that comes along with Mans being your head coach with all his woes coming into the playoff rounds. Like, the boy just had to be, rid of. Interestingly enough, though, it was reported that Joel Embiid was shocked at the firing while Harden was calling for it, which is confusing because the Beard might be leaving for free agency. But we'll get into that. All in all, I can say that the Rivers' tenure in Philadelphia was a huge failure. Other than making Joel Embiid an MVP, he did nothing for this franchise. Like, I don't care about these wins. It's all about playoff impact, and we had none. Because even, with the MVP joint, like, even that blew up in our faces. Like it or not, Glenn is a good coach, at least in the NBA terms, but he is not great. Like, he's obviously overrated, and I've been saying this for years too, especially after the Hawks series. And speaking of that, he should have been gone after that series. There was no excuse right there to lose to Trae Young, which I still have not gotten over. Once again, he should have been gone after that. I will remember Glenn Rivers on this team as a guy who drove Ben out of town, and the man who did not do better than Brett Brown, even though everyone said that he was going to do. Once again, what a waste of 3 years. So for his replacement, I want either Sam Cassell or Nick Nurse. In terms of Sam Cassell, he just deserves a coaching gig, as he paid his dues for years. In terms of Philadelphia, he already knows the players in this system, and players can be comfortable with him, which I don't even know if we want at this point. But beyond that, Mans is a former player, and I think he will curse out Bulls, which is needed big time. We have coddled this team, specifically Embiid, because it all comes back down to Embiid. And it's time for Bulls to just call him out on the floor. That's all we have. But also, Cassell built up Tyrese Maxey to the player that he is currently. So I think he should be given credence for that. And on terms of Nurse, I like him because first and foremost, the Bull won a chip, and he is an X's and O's genius on both sides of the ball, as well as he knows how to guard Embiid, since a lot of his Toronto teams guarded Embiid to perfection for years. So I think Nurse would be a very good candidate along with Sam Cassell. We shall see. Either way, I do not want Mike D'Antoni nowhere near this team. I will be done as a fan, or I will watch from the sidelines, if that makes sense. It doesn't. Who cares if Mike D'Antoni is hired from this team? Because what that will tell me is there is a coup in the organization, and that Daryl Morey is going to place his hat on getting the team back together, the old Rockets team back together, which is ridiculous to even think. Which I don't even think Morey is going to do, but I'm telling you, I swear on everything. I swear on the soul of hip-hop, the bunny. If D'Antoni is anywhere near this franchise, I am done. Okay, next we have to talk about the James Harden news, who avoided much of my disdain up to this point. Or should I call him Honey Bun Harden? I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not. Nah, but for real though, despite what y'all say, I'm actually really not mad at Mans that much for his playoff performance as you think I would be. Of course, he folded like some sheets in the biggest moments of this season, but that's what he usually does if you look at his history. And look, Mans carried us to 2 wins this series, so he did his job. Obviously, he could have did more to win us this joint, but that's who James Harden is. We got the full James Harden experience. Where was the MVP to take us home? Where was Embiid? Hands down. Make no mistake, this is not absolving Harden from no misconduct this year, because he is a loser as well. Emphasis on loser. That is very much clear, but it is what it is. Also, if you really want to talk about it, he took a pay cut for the team to actually get good. So I can't be mad at James, even if he folded. But once again, that's what he does. So why are we anyway, where was Embiid? I'm really pissed at Embiid, bro. But yeah, I say all of this to say we cannot sign Harden to a 4-year max deal this offseason. Why? It is simple, because you cannot have 2 losers leading your squad. And Embiid and Harden just do not have the mental fortitude together when it comes down to it. We saw it in real time. Besides, the fact is that, we'll be locking up another hefty contract moving forward for an older player that will not allow us to have cap flexibility. It was quoted that Harden wants to be in an environment with basketball suitors that present a competitive roster and the basketball freedom to be himself, i.e., I want a place where I can play my brand of selfish losing basketball. And once again, emphasis on losing basketball. And that, my good friends, my ladies and gentlemen, is why the man, the beard, the legend, the myth has to go. I would take him back on a 2-year deal, but we all know that is not realistic. Mans wants to get paid after taking the pay cut for this team, and that is his right. Hopefully, he will bless Morey since that is his guy. Look out for the team and do a sign and trade so the squad or the franchise can get pieces back. So, yeah, if this is the end of the James Harden experience in Philadelphia, I can thoroughly say that I enjoyed my time on the ride. Pause. But it is time to leave, because there is no way James Harden and Joel Embiid, after what they did Game 7, is going to win a chip. They're losers, bro. They're clearly losers. That loser energy is infectious. Anyway, okay. Okay, so final piece of the video. Where do the Philadelphia 76ers go from here? And this joint has been long. I didn't expect this or anticipate this to be this long. But if you are here at this point, thank you. Subscribe to the channel for more interesting Sixers content. Even though I know for a fact people aren't going to even, care about this about this team going going forward. Thank you anyway. But yeah, the question still remains: where does this team go from here? And the obvious answer is nowhere, famo. Like the franchise is stuck. So what are the options for next year? Either A, we keep Harden, locking him up to a long-term deal, which is what I do not want to do, or B, we give lead guard duties to Tyrese Maxey and build around him and Embiid. We can't say that we're going to, tank a season or at least punt a season next year just because Embiid is on a clock. But you have to retool, and I feel as though B would be the best option. But it's just sad because, we really have no more assets, and we're stuck with a lead player who needs to be babysat by another elite player to actually do the killing dirty work in the playoffs. And it's funny because we have that player in Jimmy Butler, but he's not here anymore. So do we have any other Jimmy Butlers coming along? Who knows? Probably not. I just hope that, and speaking of, Jimmy and the Heat, I just pray that the Celtics lose so that Jaylen Brown opts out of his deal, and maybe he wants to come to Philly to right the ship and become bull here. That's the only thing that I can see actually occurring for us to actually, be in contention moving forward. But to keep it a buck, this franchise was done after the Hawks series 2 years ago, because that forced us to push all our chips in to be in fully win now mode. So I blame one Mr. Ben Simmons, who was on his couch making fun of the Sixers in his little teeny tiny blanket drinking red wine. So that, fraud can stay where he is at as well. Overall, all our other free agents have to go, other than maybe McDaniel, since he is a wing, who will be on a cheap contract due to the market. But everyone else can go. We just have to gut this roster and rebuild it again. I would look to trade Tobias since the contract is 1 year deal left. And I expect him to be gone in between the draft and the trade deadline this year. Shout out to my boy Toby. He really played a good series. Maybe y'all going to kill me in the comments, but I feel as though there was a reason why Tatum was so inconsistent that series. That's because Tobias took his defense assignment on him, as well as, Toby shooting 50% from the field. So yeah, I just had to give him his flowers, but Mans has to go because that contract is screwing everything up. Okay, so the final question that I have before I end this long video is, do you trust Daryl Morey to right this ship? Because funnily enough, I do, and maybe not because I'm trusting of him, but more so because what other choice do I have? Plus, it's not like he's been historically trash. He's been known to be active in the trade free agency market to make moves, especially in Houston. So if Glenn gone, it'll fully be his responsibility to get this jaunt back where it is supposed to be. I expect hella moves coming from him thus forth to this point and into the future. Unfortunately, I do not trust the Sixers franchise, as they are a loser-ass franchise. So take that what you will. I'll talk to y'all next time. This team is cheeks. Peace.